Hi there. Welcome to Thursday. Now, I just want to try something out here. I've been listening to some quiet background music here in my home office to lift my spirits. And it's a Spotify playlist. And I just want to put some background music on here and see how that works. This is, in fact, one of my all time favorite pieces of music. It's the second movement of Mozart's Piano Concerto number 20. And this particular one is played by the fantastic pianist Mitsuko Uchida. All right, moving on. The future has come early, the thought for the day. So somebody said that to me yesterday, and I thought, what a wonderful way to reframe our current situation and looking at what we might do to move forward. And of course, the future that they're thinking of and that I'm thinking of when I hear that is moving more of everyone's business to online. I was speaking yesterday, as I mentioned in yesterday's show, to Paris Cutler on my InnovaBuzz podcast, and she told this wonderful story about a fitness studio client of hers that was moving their entire business to an online streaming training. And I thought that was a wonderful example because what it did, that studio had local clientele. So they would come into the physical studio from the local area. And so there was a limit to the number of people that they could actually serve. Once they went online, all of a sudden they had an international business and they suddenly expanded their horizons. If done well, you can still have some level of human interaction, as I'm trying to establish here with these videos. Of course, there are some things that you miss. So there's no hands-on, this is the way you do this exercise kind of training, but certainly a lot can be done online. So one of the things that almost every business can take online is training of how they do their business, how they've grown their business. So many different things that we all take for granted. I certainly do. I take for granted a lot of little things that we do in the business. And I think, oh, everybody knows that, don't they? And then somebody asks me a question, how do you do that? So I'm starting to collect a lot more of those how do you do that questions, or I find that really hard comments, and where my response is, oh, I find that quite easy. And I'll be putting together more and more training programs around that. Now, I have a fantastic learning platform that I'll talk about in a future episode. And of course, you can put these together on your own website. You can put videos in place and add payment systems to them so that that builds a whole class of assets. And the beauty of these assets is that you don't even have to be there. Once you've produced them all and set up a sales system whereby people can purchase them and a marketing system where you're getting the word out about them, all of a sudden your time is free. So it's a really fantastic way to scale your business and take it online. So training is definitely one I'll be investing more time in. The second one that I'm going to invest more time in, and I'll get to my webinar later on, but that's doing a lot more webinars. With webinars, you've got the option of going live, of putting recorded webinars on. And again, with recorded webinars, once you've produced them, you don't have to spend the time being physically there when you run them. Of course, recorded webinars, you do have to do them well so that they add value to your audience. And you can do recurring webinars. So you could have, for example, and I'm thinking of doing this myself, a question and answer session once a week or once a month, and just set up a recurring schedule. Everybody knows that at that particular time in this particular login location, you'll be able to join that Q&A session. I'm looking at several different platforms. So I'm currently testing Webinar Jam platform for the coming webinar tomorrow. I will be looking at Webinar Ninja as well, for which I have an account. I've looked at GoToWebinar and Zoom in the past, and both of those are really good platforms. GoToWebinar is very expensive, though, for most businesses. That is not really an option. Zoom, the full webinar package, also is a little on the pricey side, and they don't have a lot of the marketing back end, the reminders, the calendar scheduling, email reminders, and so on built into it, whereas things like Webinar Jam and Webinar Ninja certainly have that. So I'll be reporting back some more about my experience with those platforms. And the third thing to take business online a lot more, and this is the subject of my webinar tomorrow, that's podcasting, and in particular being a guest on other people's podcasts, because that's a great way to get started if you don't already have your own podcast. So being a guest on other people's podcasts puts you on a stage. So if one of the channels that you market yourself through has been speaking, has been events, podcasting is a great way to then transition to an online space. And I'll be presenting on how to be a really good podcast guest and how to identify the podcast stages, if you like, that you can go on, how to pitch to the podcast host in a way that makes it compelling for them to bring you on, because you're going to add so much value to their audience, and how to actually then support that podcast host in promoting the show. So we'll be talking about all of that tomorrow, but that's certainly the third thing that I'll be investing a lot more time in as we transition to this more and more online business. So just finally, call to action. The webinar is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. my time in Melbourne. So check out the details at innovabiz.co. And I've forgotten the URL. I haven't written it down here. I will put it in the comments. Jump on our website. The homepage does have the event details there, so you can just click on that and register. What I do have written down here in my notes is the link to our Daily Thoughts private podcast, which essentially is the audio from these videos, and that's innovabiz.co/leading. That's all for today. As the piano concerto winds down and quietens down again there in the background, I'll leave it on for a few moments and smile at you. Have an awesome day. Stay safe, keep well, and keep being awesome as you are.